Okay, with me today is Brendan Musler. We've been playing an old favourite of ours, Combat Mission Barbarossa to Berlin. This is a computer game from around about 2002, produced by Battlefront.com. Brandon and I swapped a lot of files playing this game, and we had, I think, Brandon, you'd say, a lot of fun with this?
Ton of fun.
Yeah. Anyway, it was. We found it recently on GOG.com, Good Old Games, and at the absurd price of about $2 or $3 per game. And there are 3 games in the series. There is, I think, Combat Mission Battle for Overlord, which was the first one. Then this
Beyond
one,
Overlord.
Beyond Overlord. Sorry. Then this one, which is Barbarossa to Berlin, and then the third one was Africa Corps. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And then there was a combat mission too, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I think we'd moved on by that stage, hadn't we? Um, the game is fantastically modular. That back in the early 2000s, there was a big community of people that made scenarios for this. And recently, after a lot of hunting around, I found actually where they were, where a great treasure trove of these missions were, and I've downloaded them, and I should share them with you at some stage, Brandon. But with the game, with this particular game, came a particular scenario called A Warm Place to Sleep, and Brandon and I played it a couple of times. I have no idea who.
No, Bill, I think this is the very first game we played on the computer against each other.
Yes, yes.
However many years ago
Yeah,
it was, however
yeah.
many decades.
Well, it'll be 2 decades now.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're counting our friendship in decades. I can't remember who won. I remember that both of us agreed that this was just a lot of fun. And because of the nature of swapping files, it made things fairly easy for us to operate in different time zones. The scenario presupposes two sides, the Germans and the Russians, both trying to move in to capture one building. And what I might do is I might start start running the game. So what I've done is I've stitched together all the files that constitute the playthroughs of the game. So what you're going to see is the game without us making the orders. So the Russians here are moving down a road towards a building. That building is A Warm Place to Sleep, and in November 1941, that is exactly what the Germans have got in mind too, is to capture that building because it's a warm place to sleep. For the Russian side, there's 2 platoons, I think, or companies. I'm not sure. It's broken up into squadrons, so I think they become companies at this stage. Could be wrong about that. The Russian system is weird. And we've got a collection of tanks, BT-7s. They're not the greatest tanks in the world, but I think they're. I don't know, Brandon. Would you know what the caliber of the gun is that they carry?
45.
45 millimeter. Okay. So it's not outrageous, but for the time of the war, it's pretty impressive. From my point of view, right at this particular point in time, you can see actually from the flags, these are the victory points. So capturing and holding these will eventually win you the game. The biggest flag, which is over the house, is worth more points than the 2 little flags on the flanks. And on the flanks, we've got 4 tanks approaching 1 flag, and for the big flag, we've got the infantry and 2 tanks approaching. I've Oh, and it's just claimed a flag for me. This is now the third turn. The approach was very slow. It took each turn takes about a minute, by the way. So this is the third minute of the engagement. My thinking at this stage was to slowly approach one of the flanks and engage whatever tanks or and there we go. We found a tank. It's a German Stug by the looks of it.
No, the one there is a
Panzer III.
38. No, it's not a 3. It's a 38T. It's the Czechoslovakian tank that they sort of co-opted. It's actually it has a 37 millimeter gun and light armor. But that Stug just hit you. That is a SD UT3.
I've lost 2 tanks in the space of about 10 seconds.
Right. Now, one of the things worth noting here is the effective visibility. There's a snowstorm, so it's only 110 meters is about all you can see.
Yeah.
So by the time these guys are shooting at each other, it's always point blank range.
Just looking at my tanks, you'll find that I think what I've got left now is a veteran and a green tank, and a green tank means that the crew is green. It's a not very good crew. It's like they got assigned to the tank yesterday, and the veteran crew, well, we fought for a week and we survived, so we're now veterans. My crew are mostly green. I think I've got 2 veteran tanks and a regular tank. I don't know what a regular crew is, and 2 or 3 green tanks. So the 2 tanks that have been destroyed, one was a green tank and I think the other one was a regular tank. So that's a bit of a blow. But I've still got my veteran, and unfortunately I've still got my green tank. The infantry is slowly moving up to the house, and we've claimed that victory point because we're in we're closer to it than the Germans. But I now know that there are a lot of very nasty German tanks on my right flank, and I'm manoeuvring to use the dead tanks as cover.
That actually worked pretty well. But when you say a lot of tanks, I basically had 2 tanks dialed in a crossfire.
Yes.
I knew your BTs moved a lot faster than my tanks, so I knew you were going to beat me to the flag. So I just set up sort of a killing zone if you went straight for the flag.
Aha. Alright, my crew, my infantry slowly moving in. Oh, and there's an assault gun suddenly popped up. And, oh, and there's another tank. And they've got a bead on me. And because it's a green tank, the first thing it does when it sees the enemy is run away.
Yeah, 2 things worth noting is, again, it's only 110. Yeah, you're not far away. But it does work to some degree to hide behind the other one. The game says that these tanks are 4 times the size they should be.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a way you can make the tanks either bigger or smaller.
You can do both.
Yeah.
But we've always taken it up.
Yeah. One thing I've realised very late in the game is that you can put a coloured marker underneath the tank so you can see it straight away. And one of the problems I had when I was doing this is like, I can't see a tank.
Got more shooting going on the right there, but it's important to note too that your infantry is now objective.
Yep. Well, this is a moment I think where I tell you I made a huge mistake, and it was I moved all my infantry there, but what I did not realise was that one of my platoon commander had a movement order to just outside, so he walked through the house to the other side, to the front. And what do you think happened to him?
He got machine gunned by an MG-34 that was zoned right in on that front door, waiting for someone to come through it. He didn't get a second chance to
No, he
rethink
didn't. He didn't.
He was instantly dead.
No. So we'll see that in a moment. You see from the nature of my troops down the bottom, you can see that they're tired. You know, the other thing about the game is that they actually start off tired, and that's the nature of they're looking for a place to sleep. But when they get there, they are tired. And there's my lieutenant now has been eliminated.
Right.
I suspect it might have been a bit of fragging involved in that too, but
well, perhaps, like I said, he might have been too chummy with the commissar.
And you can see that one of my troops is so pleased with this that they're actually running away from the house.
Chance to get out of the line of fire. I do think that this was really kind of spoiled the scenario for your guys because, if they weren't in the building, I don't think they would have hung in there at all once their commander was killed. But it was just kind of a thing where you might have just reset at that point.
And I've now my third tank, which is my veteran tank, is immobilized. So it's taken some hits.
I didn't realize that it got mobilized first.
Yeah, it's taken some hits from the 38Ts.
Yeah, one thing worth noting is when the 38Ts fire through the front armor, it takes 3 hits or something usually to really kill these BTs. I guess this would be like the equivalent of a 2-pounder in the desert. They're like Tommy knockers. They don't.
And knocked out.
The assault guns, the Stokes have 75mm, but it's the short.
It's it's the stubby one, isn't it?
Right, but since we're engaged at 100 yards, that 75mm is
still bloody effective.
That will take a BT out right quick, even if it hits them.
And that's our first
Heavy
brew up.
armor.
That's our first big brew up there.
Yeah, first burn. But like you said, you were immobilized first, so it took a lot of hits before that actually went up.
And here comes my T-34, which I thought was green, but it's actually regular crew. So, but it's got, I think it has, from memory in the instructions, it has to determine each turn whether it actually moves or not, because it'll break down.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so there's a chance that it just breaks down and doesn't move, becomes immobile. But as we'll see, it did not break down.
No, and I had a Stug on the other side of that crossroads.
Yes, there
that was
it
my
is.
second one. And he was just waiting to hit any armor that came through there. But when he saw it was a T-34, he thought better of it. And your crew is good enough to take advantage of that.
Yes. Well, the problem is that if I change an order on that, it takes about 20 to 30 seconds for that order to be activated.
Well, you don't have radios.
No.
Your radios in your tanks. The Germans do, so mine can be much more responsive if someone spots it.
Now I've lost my green tank, so I've only got the 2 BT-7s on to the right of the house and the T-34, but I am now still in control of all flags, which is great.
Right, so it's all red, and at this point I'm wondering, worth noting, I see you had that orange marker for your field of fire, what you told it to monitor.
Yep.
Don't make it that big and wide, or it doesn't really do you any good.
Oh, okay.
It needs to be narrower, otherwise you just don't put it on if you can't make it like 45 degrees or less.
Okay. What was this second tank over here?
Oh, that was from
the
same.
left.
I had these 5-inch 38 coming out, the 38Ts, and that was one of the 5 over there that was with the Stug. I had basically Stug and a 38T on both flanks, and the other ones were inside. And you knocked out the Stug on the left flank with the T-34. And then we had this incredible shootout where, I don't know, I hit you like 4 times. There were 2 gun hits, and you still were able to shoot even after taking 2 gun hits.
Well,
and you took out my gun.
Yeah, frontal.
But you didn't knock out my tank, which amazed me.
Yeah, frontal armor's pretty good on these Russian tanks.
Yeah, but yes, I don't expect the 37mm to pierce that, not remotely. But I did think if I got gun hits, it would take out your main cannon. Maybe the gun they're talking about is the machine gun, coaxial or something. I don't really know. But you were still able to shoot. See right here, there's a gun hit, and there's a gun hit. It's no serious damage, but you're going to get hit again.
Yep.
And then I found even more amazing, at point blank range with a 76mm gun, you hit my gun. And that's all it does, is knock out the gun. It doesn't go through the mantlet and kill everyone in the turret.
It's an interesting thing with the green troops. They will abandon the tank the moment they get hit. So if you just hit a green tank,
yeah,
there's I think it's something like a 50-50 chance that they'll abandon the tank.
But and this, so there goes another gun hit, no serious damage. It's twice I've hit your gun, and it doesn't hurt. I mean, there's my shells breaking up, which is totally the same.
Yeah. Now, eternal armor flaking, that's enough to cause a tank.
Yeah, you could wound someone that way,
yeah.
But it probably is more like going to make your orders not executed. But here you are, charging ahead like a rhino. And wisely, my guys ran for it. Discretion was definitely the better part of that.
You've now captured the right flank flag.
Yeah, your right flank.
Yeah, my right flank, your left flank.
But what's going on in the center is you're taking a lot of machine gun and rifle fire into that building, and you don't have a leader there rallying. So when I put my half track up, and he's sort of hauled down, if you will, your tanks in the center there can't get at him, and he's just hosing in front of that building. Now he's moving out, but he was hosing.
Oh, got a tank! Yay! I think I've only killed 2 tanks.
Well, you had one turn where you took out 2 of mine, and then you took all 3 flags, and it looked good for you at that point.
Now, here, this is interesting. You can see the small infantry squad next to the Stug. So they'll start assaulting that guy with Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, what happened here? I didn't even know I was being attacked when I did this. And you attacked it, and you just didn't have to do anything to it?
Well,
yeah, there we go. It was zoomed in.
Yeah. So,
and there's a slight hill there, so they're sort of protected. They can't be seen.
Yep.
I didn't see you, like literally as a player or as the unit didn't see me either.
I'm in woods, I think, or some sort
you definitely
scattered
are, at
trees.
least light woods. Right.
And there's a crater there, so I've got cover from the crater. You see very faintly under the Stug there's a bit of flame.
Oh, okay.
And that's the Molotov cocktail being thrown.
So
But
if
it
you
didn't.
had better weapons, you would have taken that Stug out,
Yeah.
and that would have been right now. He's about to put an end.
You can see it's being thrown again.
Yeah, I had no idea, and I watched this a lot of times. Yeah, and so that cost you that tank.
Yeah. What I'm doing there's an order called find hold down. So it
Right.
moves until it finds that it can see the enemy, but it's hold down. And it's a good thing, but unfortunately you can still get hit being hull
Yeah.
down. So
You took out one of my 38Ts because it was trying to find hull down. I was futzing all around for like 15 minutes. Like, and then like 3 shells into it. And it didn't do anything. It just kept backing up forward until you killed it.
now the T-34 hasn't found a 38, so it's running away. It's not running away. It's moving down to hunt in better pastures, I guess. But
Yeah,
this
well,
is
once the gun was knocked out of that 38T, I had it withdraw all the way back to that tree line and then go full speed around you. And then you went back through the woods. You didn't know it, but there was a company in there. You just presented a perfect target.
Yeah, I did. That's yeah. And I had to go back and work out what the hell happened there because that was actually by this stage it was my last tank. It was my last tank.
Yeah, those guys spent most of the time in a crater, and then they climbed onto the victory flag because I couldn't stand the fact that it was constantly red.
And
so
there's
I had
hit.
to stand on the victory flag.
I'm hit and I'm bailing out.
And then you drove by.
Yeah.
And so at that point, and of course the Germans have like charges at least. You know, they're not throwing Molotov cocktails. So it actually knocked out the.
Well, at that point, the game finished. I surrendered because you controlled all the flags and I had no tanks left and the infantry was running away.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said to me, well, my plan of defense is working, and I thought to myself, well, but really the onus of attack was almost on you. Were you really defending, like on the right flank there? Well, your right flank. Even though you had like 5 tanks, you know, and I had 2 at 1.3 over there, you couldn't get any traction because. So at worst, I mean, at best, I think there was a meeting engagement. I don't really see you as necessarily defending, although it is likely that the Russians are going to get to the building first. But I didn't feel like I was attacking as much as I was just sort of
advancing,
engaged with you.
Nonetheless, a good game, and I reckon we're going to do this again. But I want to do, because I think, you know, we're now in the age of fibre optic cables as opposed to dial-up internet. I want to try it again with IP, and we just play.
Well, how do we do it before? We didn't just always do file swapping, did we?
We did. We only did file swapping, I think.
Oh, okay. I knew we didn't dial off from continent to continent.